All right, so I've read close to 85 books. I usually read about a book per week, honestly. Sometimes more. And that's only because I'm not doing anything crazy. I just like reading books. And so if you liked reading books as much as you liked scrolling, you'd probably read a lot of books too. However, when I started, I had a different reason for why I started reading books. And that was I wanted to gain a intellectual edge on other people. I wanted to be smart, I wanted to be well-spoken, and I knew that books would be a core component of doing both of those things. Now, the point of this video is you might see popular books and think, a bunch of other people have read this book. How is this going to set me apart? I always thought this. And the more books you read, the more you're able to see which books have a bunch of stigma around them and which books are the niche, uncovered ones that not a lot of people are reading that you can extract a lot of value from. Now, one thing you need to realize that I learned was that those popular books, they're popular for a reason. They're usually really good books. However, a lot of people will have read them, so you're not going to have any kind of specialized knowledge that you might get from something niche. That being said, what most people don't do when they read a book is get literally anything out of it. So, most people will read a book once, and none of that knowledge gets ingrained into their brain. Because reading a book once, it doesn't really do anything. That's why Alex Hormozi, he'll say that reading books is a waste of time and just go out and do stuff. That's because most people don't actually read for deep understanding. They just read to check the box, say they read the book, maybe get a few things, but they don't really extract the knowledge from it. So where you're able to set yourself apart is getting way deeper into the book. And you do that by reading it more than once. I'll read books 2-3 times, and the way I do that is not by front to back wrestling through every single page, but more so going back to the most influential parts of the book. So that's one thing I'll do. I'll keep the book out on the coffee table, and that makes it so it's not out of mind. It's top of mind because it's on my coffee table near all the other books. And when I go and pick it up, what I did prior and what I always do while I read is I highlight key components, stuff that when I read it, I'm like, ooh, that's good. I'll also put these little plastic tabs in the book so that I can easily flip to the pages that are really, really overarching themes that I want to drill in. And then I go one step further and I make videos about the stuff that's really sticks out. So you know that it is ingrained in your brain when you can teach it to a kindergartner. So I make a lot of these videos actually to just ingrain concepts in my brain. And that's what nobody does. Most people read a book once. Number one, they're not even strong readers to begin with, so they're probably missing a bunch of the substance from the book. And two, reading a book once doesn't do anything. It's like everyone says in high school they forgot everything they learned. Yeah, that's because you learned it and then left it. Even if it was a specific unit, a specific chapter of history class, yeah, you learned it, but then you left it in the past. Of course you're going to forget it. We humans learn through repetition. Think about why we're so good at speaking a language and why we can do it without any thought. It's because we've done it more than almost anything we've ever done. Same with driving. You're able to drive subconsciously, as in without any thought or energy, because you've done it so many times. And that's effectively what you want to do with the information in a book. You want to look at it and digest it so much that you can speak about it effortlessly. So there's some things that I can speak about, but not clearly and simply. So you might be able to read a book and talk about it to someone, but you might have to use complex language. The real sign that you've learned something is when you can speak about it in the simplest terms, and you can teach it in a few sentences. So when I think about something I could actually teach really, really well, let me back up. What can most humans teach really well? I would say that most humans can teach how to use Instagram pretty well. And that's not, I'm not sneak dissing. I'm not trying to throw shade on humanity and our phone addiction. I'm just saying that realistically, a lot of people know how to use Instagram and could teach it to someone who doesn't, because they've done it so much. That's the point you need to get to with a concept you want to learn and ingrain in your brain. And not a lot of people are doing that. That's the sauce right there. So if I were to review and conclude what you should do to really squeeze the lemon in terms of a book, I'd read it front to back, pure enjoyment. And while I do that, highlight stuff that really sticks out and put little sticky tabs that stick out of the book so you can easily flip to the most influential pages. Then move on, read a new book, whatever. Keep stimulating new stuff in your brain. However, every so often, when you're called to, which it should be at least 2 to 4 times a week, crack that book back open. It doesn't require a lot of thought because you've already read it once. And then when you're in there, go to those influential pages and reread it and get that aha moment. Although not as aha as the first time you read it, it still hits, but then it's ingraining it a little deeper. And then if you want to go one step further, make a video or teach someone else that concept. So if you're reading a book about how to become more flexible, if you can't tell someone how to become more flexible in a few sentences using simple 3rd grade language, then you don't know how to do it. So a good way to solidify that knowledge is teach someone else. And then every once in a while, once you feel like you've really got this stuff down, come back to it less frequently, every few months or every few weeks, maybe even every few years if you get that far down the road. But you might have thought prior to watching this that, oh, if I read a book that everyone's already read, then I'm not going to have a leg up on anyone. That's how I thought. Now I don't really care about that, but there are a lot of people who are looking to read for an advantage. And if you are, the good news is that nobody is actually getting anything from the books that they're reading. 99% of people, I can say that confidently, don't actually have any change in behavior. A change in behavior indicates that you've actually learned something. So if you read a book and there's no change in behavior, then in terms of getting a leg up or advantage on someone else, you haven't learned anything. So if you really want to spark some change, it's going to take you reading the book multiple times and being able to teach other people. Very simple. Hope this helps. Read more books and have a better life. Bye-bye.